Hello students, this is Nilanjana Sarkar, founder of CBSE, and today this video is specifically meant for my ICSE students because in this video today I'm going to explain Merchant of Venice and I'm going to take it up line by line. Many students they had requested me to make a video on Merchant of Venice and therefore I am here today ready to help all of you to understand Shakespeare's famous play, The Merchant of Venice, which is a part of the curriculum in the 9th and 10th for the ICSE board. And I understand that this can be really confusing because we are dealing with the language which is almost more than 400 years old. Therefore, to make it easy for you, to make it lucid for all of you, I am here to explain to you all line by line. But yes, before we move ahead, I would request all of you, as it is customary, please do hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed till now. And also like my video because that's my only gift from all of you. Once you hit the like button and I get to, read all your comments, it motivates me to make more such videos for all of you. Okay, so let's start the first Act 1, Scene 1 of Merchant of Venice. Now, the Act 1, Scene 1 of Merchant of Venice happens in a street in Venice, and we have Antonio, who is the Merchant of Venice, and his two friends, Salarino and Selenio, entering the place and entering the stage. And from the very beginning, we can see that Antonio is very melancholic. He is very sad. Now, the reason of his sadness is not very clear. In fact, he himself doesn't know why he is so sad. There are many possible reasons of his sadness, which he suggests and even his friends suggest, but we really do not know that why he is in such a dull and melancholic mood. So Antonio starts, "In sooth, I know not why I am so sad." Means, honestly, I really do not know why I am so sad. "It wearies me. It makes me tired." You say it wearies you. You are telling that you are getting tired, but actually I am also getting tired with this sadness. But how I caught it, found it, or came by it, how I got this kind of a mood, from where it originated, from where I have been affected, what stuff it is made up of. I mean, why am I so sad? Whereof it is born, from where it originated, I really do not know. I am to learn. I am to learn means he is still not very clear about it. And such a want which sadness makes of me. This sadness which I am having, it is making me really very dull. I have been turned out to become a very dull person who lacks wit, that I have much ado to know myself. In fact, I have become, a changed person, that it has become difficult for me to know myself further. So you can say that Antonio is in a very confused state in the very beginning of the play because of this sadness. He himself doesn't know that why he is so sad. Now, his friends, Salarino and Selenio, they give various possible causes of his sadness. So Salarino tells, "Your mind is tossing on the ocean." Now, Antonio is a very rich merchant and he has many ships which are out on his, various kind of business ventures. So according to Salarino, your mind is tossing on the ocean. Your mind is preoccupied with thoughts related to your business. Therefore, your mind is not here. Your mind is also with your ships who are right now in a voyage and they are in the ocean. So therefore, you're preoccupied with such thoughts about your ships. There, where your argosies with portly sail. Now, argosies are those rich merchant ships. and they have those big, nice, grand kind of a look. Like Cygnus and rich burghers on the flood. Now his argosies, Antony's argosies means Antony's merchant ships, are compared to the noble citizens, the rich noble citizens, who look down on others as they walk. They look down on the other, average kind of people, and they flaunt their wealth and their upbringing. So usually, such people are there in the society who look down upon people who are average. And on the other hand, they if they belong to the elite class, and therefore they consider others with contempt. So he, according to Salarino, Antonio's ships, argosies, also behave in the same manner. Just like the Cygnus, just like the noble men, noble citizens, how they look down on others, or as it were the pageants of the sea. In the sea, Antonio's ships present a grand spectacle. Do overpeer the petty traffickers. Now, here the petty traffickers means the small merchant ships. So, therefore, they look down, his ships look down on the small merchant ships that curtsy to them, do them reverence. Now, how do these small merchant ships behave when they see Antonio's ships? They bow down out of respect as they fly by them with their woven wings. As they fly by them with their woven wings means that the Antonio's argosies, or the big merchant ships, they fly like birds, surpassing those small merchant ships. Now, after this, Salenio tells that, believe me, sir, had I such venture forth, if I had such business like you, the better part of my affections would be with my hopes abroad. So, if I would have been in your place, the better part of my affections means my concerns, they would have all been with my business. I would always be preoccupied with thoughts about my business ventures. I should be still plucking the grass to know where sits the wind, peering in maps for ports and piers and roads, and every object that might make me fear misfortune to my ventures out of doubt would make me sad. So, what would I do? I would worry about my ships every second. I would worry about my business every second. And I would also constantly, pluck a blade of grass, and I would try to find out that which way the wind was blowing. Now, why would I do that? To understand that the wind is blowing in a favorable condition or not. Because if the wind is not blowing in a favorable condition, what would happen is it can affect my ships. Therefore, I would always do that. I would pluck a grass to understand the direction of the wind. I would always be looking carefully. Peering means looking carefully in maps for ports to figure out, I would always try to figure out the best port, the best pier, and the roads where my ship can, take refuge, take shelter in case of an impending danger. And every object that might make me fear misfortune to my ventures, out of doubt, would make me sad. So I would always be worried about my ships, my business ventures, if I would have been in your place. And every object which can remind me of that danger would make me sad. After this, his other friend Salarino also adds over here that my wind cooling my broth, like when I would drink my soup, broth is soup. So when we usually have this hot soup in front of us, we tend to blow and make it cool. So my wind cooling my broth would blow me to an ague when I thought what harm a wind too great at sea might do. So that wind would immediately, give me that kind of a fear that in case that wind, such a similar wind is there in the ocean affecting my ships, how would my ships be in danger? So I would do the same thing. I should not see the sandy hourglass run, but I should think of shallows and of flats. So what he tells over here that whenever I would see the sand in the hourglass, I hope all of you know that how an hourglass looks, and it has sand in it. So whenever I would look at the hourglass, the sand in it would remind me of the sandbars, which can be a cause for my ships to be wrecked. Okay, so I should also think of shallows and of flats. So shallows and of flats over here means that whenever I would see the sand in the hourglass, it would remind me of all these things where the ship can meet a danger in the sand. And see my wealthy Andrew docked in sand, veiling her high top lower than her ribs. So my wealthy Andrew is the ship. And I would imagine that my ship is docked in sand, caught in sand, veiling her high top lower than her ribs. What would happen if the ship would have been docked in sand? It would be bending, and in that process, the sail would be all lowered. To kiss her burial. To kiss her burial over here means the ship, if it, goes through a shipwreck, it will not have its original position. It has to bend over and it will, topple over. In case, should I go to a church, whenever I'm going to a church, looking at the stones or the rocks, it would remind me about the rocks in the sea. Because the church is, the construction of the church is made up of stones. So whenever I'm going to a church, looking at the church would immediately remind me that in case my ship confronts or, gets hits against those dangerous stones, what would my ship go through? So should I go to church and see the holy edifice of stone? Holy edifice of stone means the building of stone, the building which is made up of stone, and not bethink me straight of dangerous rocks. So I would recollect immediately about the dangerous rocks in the sea, which touching but my gentle vessel's side would scatter all her spices on the stream. What would happen if the ship hits the rock? Whatever merchandise my ships would be carrying, it will all be scattered in the ocean. So all my spices would be scattered on the stream, enrobe the roaring waters with my silks. Enrobe means, the entire water will be covered with my merchandise. So it will be filled or covered like a cloth with my merchandise. And in a word, but even now worth this and now worth nothing. So within a second, my ship was carrying goods which was so valuable, but within a second, it would be of no value because everything will be destroyed. So thinking of all these things makes me filled with fear and horror about the impending danger. Shall I have the thought to think on this? And shall I lack the thought that such a thing be chanced would make me sad? So he's telling that who wouldn't get sad? If anybody would have been thinking about these impending dangers, anybody would have been sad because in one moment I would just go bankrupt. All my things will be lost and destroyed. So who wouldn't get sad thinking about all these things? So it's a very obvious thing. But tell not me, I know Antonio is sad to think upon his merchandise. So he, just concludes the fact telling that Antonio is sad because he's just worried about his ships. He's worried about the merchandise, the cargo, the ships are all out in ventures, and that's the reason he's sad. Now, Antonio, let's see, understand what Antonio has to say. When he heard all the possible causes of his sadness, he has something to say. Believe me, no, I thank my fortune for it. In fact, he negates that idea. He doesn't agree with their explanation and he says that, believe me, trust me, that is not the cause of my sadness. My ventures are not in one bottom trusted. My ventures means my financial situation, my business ventures are not dependent on just, one particular ship, because my financial situation is very good, it's very healthy. I have not invested all my money in one particular ship. Neither they are just all traveling to one part of the world. My ventures are not in one bottom trusted, not to one place, nor is my whole estate upon the fortune of this present year. So my money is not invested on one particular ship, neither it is traveling to only one part of the world. And my whole estate is not dependent on the fortune of this present year. I mean, my entire financial situation is not dependent on this particular venture. I am well off, I have my things in place. Therefore, my merchandise makes me not sad. Therefore, I'm not sad because of my ships. I have some other reason which is making me sad. Okay, so after this, uh, Salarino tells that in case if your merchandise is not making you sad, it could be that you are in love. That's the reason you are sad. And for that, Antonio tells 5-5. Means Antonio just negates the idea and he tells that it's not possible. He just negates the idea of falling in love. Salarino tells after this that not in love either, neither. Then let us say you are sad because you are not merry. So if you are not in love and that if that is not making you sad, then it can just be that you are sad because you're not happy. And it were as easy for you to laugh and leap and say you are merry because you are not sad. So he just makes a very casual remark and tells that then there is no strong explanation why you are sad. It is sad because you are not merry. And because of your merry, you are not sad. Now by the two-headed Janus, nature hath framed strange fellows in her time. Now here he gives a reference to the Roman god Janus. Now the Roman god Janus had two faces, and usually this face was put on top of a door, one facing inside and the one facing outside. So here Salarino tells that in the name of Janus, the Roman god of gates, who could see both ways, like how nature has created two kinds of people. And after this, he gives an explanation of the two kinds of disposition that men often have. So, what are they? Some that will evermore peep through their eyes and laugh like parrots at a bagpiper. There are some people who will foolishly laugh at every silly thing, and other of such vinegar aspect, whereas the other kind of people who have a different kind of a disposition, they would be vinegar aspect, means they would be sour, they would never laugh, that they will not show their teeth in way of smile, though Nestor swear the jest be laughable. Such men, those who are of that vinegar aspect, they are so grave, and they have such a long face that you know they would never laugh. Even the joke is something which is filled with humor or laughter, still they would never laugh. I mean, even at an irresistible joke, they would never laugh. And here he gives the reference of Nestor. Now, who is Nestor? Nestor is supposed to be the gravest man. He's a wise old man, and there's a reference to Nestor in Homer's Iliad. Now, here he's giving difference from all the mythological characters. So, according to him, such men, those who are of the vinegar aspect, they would, never laugh. Even if Nestor tells that this joke is indeed a very humorous one, still they would never laugh. I mean, the joke which would Nestor pass it off as irresistible, still such men will never show their teeth. So these are the two kind of men that we have in the world. One who would laugh at every simple thing, and the other would be, completely vinegar aspect. Salanio. Here comes Bassanio, your most noble kinsman. Now, as they are talking, they see Bassanio coming ahead. Now, Bassanio is Antonio's best friend. Therefore, Salanino tells that, here comes Bassanio, your most noble friend. Gratiano and Lorenzo. So, along with Bassanio, they also see Gratiano and Lorenzo coming in. Fare ye well. So, he bids them goodbye. We leave you now with better company. So, Salanio and Salarino, they know that Antonio is actually very fond of Bassanio, and therefore he tells that, okay, now we are leaving, and we will leaving you now with better company. Salarino. I would have stayed till I had made you merry, if worthier friends had not prevented me. Here he tries to, be a little subtle, crack a subtle joke, and said that, your other friends who are coming in, actually, they are worthier than us. They are better than us. We know that they are more close to you. So I would have stayed back and I would have made you merry if they would not have come. Now, Antonio is a very, in a very nice and balanced manner, he tells that your worth is very dear in my regard. In fact, I hold you very close to my heart. I mean, I have deep regard for you. I take it your business calls on you. I mean, you are not going because, uh, I am not fond of you. You are going because you have your own work. Your business calls on you. And you embrace the occasion to depart. And you take this occasion to depart from here. Enter Bassanio, Lorenzo, and Gratiano. Salarino. Good morrow, my good lords. Bassanio. Good signors both. When shall we laugh? Say when. You grow exceeding strange. Must it be so? So they are, all good friends. They want to have a nice time. So they say, when shall we laugh? Salarino. We will make our leisures to attend on yours. We'll have our free time to attend on yours. Exit Salarino and Salenio. Now Lorenzo tells, my lord Bassanio, since you have found Antonio, we too will leave you, but at dinner time, I pray you, have in mind where we must meet. Now they have some plans which they want to fulfill at dinner time. So they say that, please remember that where we have to meet. Bassanio, I will not fail you, means I will keep my word. Now Gratiano has to say something about Antonio. You look not well, Signor Antonio. You have too much respect upon the world. You look not well means you are looking very dull. You have too much respect upon the world means you tend to worry a lot about the worldly matters. They lose it that do buy it with much care. So people who are very particular and people who think a lot, they actually, suffer a lot. They lose it. Those who buy it with much care. If you are always thinking about things, what can happen to you, at the end of the day, you're going to, be a cause of suffering. Believe me, you are marvelously changed. Believe me, you are marvelously changed means, you have changed a lot. You have you don't look your happy and cheerful self. Okay, now let's see what Antonio has to say. I hold the world, but as the world, Greciano, a stage where every man must play a part and mine a sad one. Very famous lines. Here he tells that Antonio, he has to say that I hold the world as the world. For me, this world is as I perceive it. It is like a stage. There's a metaphor, use of metaphor over here. He tells that the world is a stage and every man must play a part. Every man has their roles to play, and my role is to play the character of a sad person, and that's what I am doing over here. Graciano. Okay, then if you are playing the role of a sad person, let me play the fool. I would rather play the role of a person who just wants to laugh away. Now, Graciano loves merrymaking. He loves, having fun. He wants to fill his life with fun, mirth, and laughter. So he tells, let me play the fool, with mirth and laughter let old wrinkles come. Old wrinkles come means old age, means if I have to grow old, let it come with mirth and laughter. Let me become old by enjoying my life. And let my liver rather heat with mine wine than my heart cool with mortifying groans. I want to enjoy my life, and I would rather drink wine, and that's how I want to lead my life. I don't want to fill my life with groans means painful cries. I don't want to go through all that. Why should a man whose blood is warm within sit like his grandsire cut in alabaster? No, according to him, why should any living man live like a statue? Alabaster over here means the marble, the stone which is used to carve a statue. So why should a man live like a statue? Because his blood is warm within. If the blood is warm within, he should be lively. He should not be lifeless like a statue. That's the reason the comparison has been given. Sleep when he wakes, when he is awake, and when he is full of energy, why should he sleep? And creep into the jaundice by being peevish. Why should he, be affected with jaundice by just being sad all the time? Peevish over here means ill-tempered. So why would he, get into all that? Why should he be ill-tempered? I tell thee what, Antonio, I love thee. I love thee means I love you, Antonio, and it is my love that speaks. And I have a lot of love for you, and that is the reason I am telling you this particular thing. In the next few lines, he gives an example of, again, a kind of people who put on a face which is not their real face. So, according to him, he tells that there are a sort of men whose visages do cream and mantle like a standing pond. Here he gives an example of a pond. Now, if a pond is stagnant for a while, what happens is there is a layer of scum that is filled on top of the water, the topmost layer, because the pool is stagnant for a long time. So the upper layer of that stagnant water is like a covering, and nobody is able to understand that what is there underneath. Therefore, he tells that there are people, there are men who put on a face, and with this face they tend to fool others. So they do cream and mantle like a standing pond and do a willful stillness entertain, with purpose to be dressed in an opinion of wisdom, gravity, profound conceit. So when these men, they put on this cover on their face, they do it because they want others to form an opinion of themselves. That what kind of an opinion? That they are wise, They are very serious, they are silent, they are stern. Okay? As who should say, I am Sir Oracle, and when I ope my lips, let no dog bark. So these men, they would behave like this. They would behave as if they are very silent. They would behave as if they are very wise, but that is just a covering. That is not their real face. And whenever they talk, when they talk, they think everybody else should be quiet and that even the dogs should stop barking. They would behave like I am Sir Oracle. Sir Oracle is like the voice of God. And these men, when they will talk, they will put on an attitude as if when they open their mouth, nobody should speak. That's the kind of impression they want to create on others. But that is not their real self. O my Antonio, I do know of these that therefore only are reputed wise for saying nothing. The only reason, he tells Antonio that the only reason they are considered wise because they don't say anything. And the moment they would open their mouth, they would be, very clearly called nothing but fools. For saying nothing, when I'm very sure, if they should speak, would almost damn those ears which hearing them would call their brothers fools. So I'm sure in case if they open their mouth, everybody would see what fools they are. I'll tell thee more of this another time. I'm going to talk about all these things in another time. But fish not with this melancholy bait for this fool gudgeon. So he tells that do not try to fish, do not try to use your melancholy as a bait. Do not look, so glum. Do not look so, do not put on a sulky face. And do not try to use your melancholy as a bait to consider you to be wise in the eyes of others, because that's not the way people conceive you. So by telling this, he tells that, come, good Lorenzo, fare ye well a while. I will end my exhortation after dinner. So, he tells that I'm going to finish my lecture. My good advice that I'm giving you, I'm going to finish that after dinner. And by telling this, he finishes his speech. Lorenzo, well, we will leave you then till dinner time. I must be one of these same dumb wise men, for Graciano never lets me speak. So according to Lorenzo, he tells that I am actually one of those dumb wise men because I never get a chance to speak. It's always Graciano who does most of the talking. Graciano. Well, keep me company for 2 years more. Thou shalt not know the sound of thine own tongue. So Graciano jokingly tells that, okay, if you hang around with me for 2 more years, if you, keep around, moving around with me for 2 more years, you will forget the sound of your own voice because I will never let you speak. I will never let you even open your mouth. So Antonio tells, farewell, I'll grow a talker for this gear. So according to Antonio, he bids goodbye and he tells that after that, whatever you told me, I will start talking a lot. I'm going to listen to your advice and I'll start talking a lot. So Graciano ends the speech by telling that thanks, for silence is only commendable in a neat tongue dryad. So here he tells that the only tongues that should be silent are the ox tongues on a dinner plate, and those that belong to old maids. So only in these two situations, the silence is commendable. Otherwise, you should never do that. You should never be silent, because by being silent, if you're trying to show others how wise you are, how grave you are, it's of no use. So that was the end of this particular speech, but then still there are more students. I will cover the next part of this Act 1, Scene 1 in my next lecture. And if you have any doubt, please do write in the comment section. and I will upload the next part of the video shortly. Thank you, and do forward this video to your friends because I want to help all of you. Uh, I would like to actually make this really easy for you so that you can write your exams well and you can attempt the questions of Merchant of Venice with a lot of confidence. Thank you, and I'll be back again with my new video.